them all near. Sing out our songs for the whole world to hear. This is the cradle of all that we are. This is the heart of the storm. This is the ground where the future was born. This here is Anvil and this is our home. Each song that we sing and each story we tell, each hero we name and each life that we sell, each breath and each beat of your heart is a beat of the drum. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Before 10 in the morning, we're barely alive. We're like ghosts, we're like spirits, and then coffee arrives. Then heroes awaken and stand by your side. Now gather your courage and sing out your pride. For the storm will not break us, although it may try. The sun may beat down and may bake the world dry, but we stand by our neighbors and raise them up tall. Gather your voices and scream out the call. For you are my empire and you are my hall. For you I would fight and for you I would fall. For you are the beat of my heart and the heart of my song. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. So fill up your tankards and fill up your lungs. Leave no words unspoken and no song unsung. Make noise for your heroes, your kith and your kin. Sing out their names and the pride that they bring. Together we stand and divided we fall. And the future we write will be shaped by us all. For we are the singers and we are the song of a story that's greater than more. Sing along. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Give me drink in my cup. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere, I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere, I tell you, be. My friends, my neighbors, good songs for the whole world to hear. This is the cradle of all that we are. This is the heart of the storm. This is the ground where the future was born. This here is Anvil and this is our home. Each song that we sing and each story we tell, each drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Before 10 in the morning, we're barely alive. We're like ghosts, we're like spirits, and then coffee arrives. Then heroes awaken and stand by your side. Now gather your courage and sing out your pride. For but the storm will not break us, although it may try. The sun may beat down and may bake the world dry, but we stand by our neighbours and raise them up tall. Gather your voices and scream out the call, for you are my empire and you are my hall. For you I would fight and for you I would fall, for you are the beat of my heart and the heart of my song. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. So
Hello everyone, welcome to our stream. There may be some internet issues. It may be an issue with Twitch. We're not too sure at the moment if it's stuttering or anything like that. I have fixed all the audio that has been causing problems. So I might be incredibly loud now. Everyone might be incredibly loud now. So keep us posted and let us know if there's any, if we've gone straight to the other extreme. Okay. I am expecting the usual Steve, turn yourself down. So, but we'll go from there. Thanks for coming along. So this is, I can't remember if this is the third Virtues one we've done, second Virtues one, or the fourth one we've done. We're in there. We've been doing a load. It's so we're picking on the Brass Coast tonight. You're a little distorted as always, but we haven't heard anyone else yet. Oh. Well, hopefully my distortion will sort itself out because I'm getting some new stuff soon. I fully endorse the octopus plushie in the stream, so that's behind Tian's head. There we go. So, just hit mute, Steve. Fuck you, Scott. And your face. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go back to Highguard because that's where you can go, and everyone who hates Highguard goes. That's where no one likes Highguard. So I think you'll recognise. Well, you might recognise everybody from the stream because I think everybody here has been on the stream before. I think Tian is the only one who had a massive. There we go. On her head. So. Everyone else is quiet. Okay. Well, of course everyone else is quiet. They haven't said anything yet. I haven't given them a chance because I talk too much, you see. So we'll do a simple. If we go around, so I've got Tian above me, and I've got Louis to top right, and then I've got Irina to my right. So if we go from Tian, and then we'll go around, a little bit about yourself, who you play, and then we'll get started.
I'm Tian. I play Auntie Hen. Her name is Hembene Figuera. She hasn't got one of those long names like all the other Brass-based people. I am a wisdom priest, bit of an old lady busybody, likes to get in everyone's way. Pretty much it. Yeah, I run Auntie Hem's haberdashery and tailoring, so I fix people's trousers when they come off the battlefield, things like that. Other than that, yeah, just fixed it up really.
Excellent. Louis?
I think actually you've done a pair of my trousers before. I may be wrong. So I'm Louis. I play Dino at Yovigo. No family name because I am a Hakima, which is one of the Brass Coast sort of archetypes. I'm an apothecary in the game. And also sort of an investor and general sort of business person, philanthropist.
You also play the Funky Box.
Also, the Funky Box. I'm a melodian accordion player. Much to the delight / detestment of those nearby.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. And Irina?
Hello, I'm Irina. I play Constanza y Calamar y Guerra. My family do the Thrifty Squid, which I think I've mentioned before. And if I haven't, the Thrifty Squid, it's great. I am a priest of pride. I'm also the gatekeeper of pride. I dance and sing and write songs and like to find cool people and tell them that they're cool and lift them up and party. Also, I draw art.
Excellent.
You're the head of our National Assembly as well.
People say that. I help formalise it and I drew the pretty contract. However,
You're the head of our National Assembly.
You made the contract, and that's the important thing, right?
I'm not always able to make it to National Assembly meetings these days because of being gatekeeper of Pride. I have many meetings, constantly, all the time. I'm really hard to get hold of, apart from for the last year when I had knee surgery and was basically sitting in one place the whole time. And then people could come and bother me and find me constantly. And I couldn't go anywhere.
Excellent. So, doing the introductions, we've already got 3 questions in. So, it's the pesky orcs asking all the questions again. So,
We like the orcs.
we do like the orcs. And we got Mr. Matt Dawes in as well. He is wiki linker extraordinaire as well. So we'll jump straight into it then. So we've had a question from Fal, and he says most nations have religious briefs that are added additions to the way. What does the Brass Coast believe that's a national held religious brief?
Right in there with the big questions.
Oh, he knows.
I will defer to my learned colleagues on this one.
This is with the nearly heretical answer straight away.
It's open to whoever wants to take this one.
Did you directly religious sort of virtue beliefs, or are you talking about the extra things like
I mean, so the Brass Coast
broken wheel and
I'll
things like that?
do a little introduction first.
Yeah.
In that priests in the Brass Coast are called Sutannir, which is both a singular and a plural. And the way that we go about priesting and our attitudes to virtue, etc., in the Brass Coast is that we feel spirituality very deeply. However, we're not always very serious about it. We're very much a party nation, and just because we think something is important doesn't mean we're going to be very dour about it.
Right.
I was drawn to the Sutannir archetype after already playing for a couple of years, like for about a year or two, where I realized that that's what I was doing, really, because I started off in the performing arts, and there is a big part of the Sutannir brief which is about performing rituals. Organizing parties for weddings, for funerals. We party over everything. Funerals are a party. The Freeborn are a very passionate people, so we like to celebrate someone's life when they have died. That doesn't mean we're not sad. It just means that we're going to cry very openly and dramatically and then tell a great story about things that they did while drinking ourselves into the ground. In terms of how Sutannir perform their business, apart from rituals and ceremonies and getting people together and doing the parties, the way that we believe in putting forth virtue is to embody it. Sutannir aren't really there to preach at you unless that you come to them and ask them for their opinion and ask them to take you through some things. We won't necessarily come up to you and shove things down your throat. What we are busy doing is trying to embody virtue ourselves. So it's not like we're constantly talking about it, but we are always living it. I was drawn to that because I was already going down the path of pride, and pride is very much also about embodying and showing how to be cool, and basically putting your money where your mouth is. So I was already affecting that attitude, so I fell into being a Sutannir very easily. But it synergizes with other virtues as well. I think particularly courage, because the Freeborn are so bold and direct. They will tell you what they think, very frankly. And of course, courage is about speaking your truth. So I think we're more about embodying the things that we find virtuous in the national character, and the things that we find worthy, essentially. And Sutannir are even more that. So with big embodying Brass Coast, big embodying virtue as much as possible.
I find the Freeborn are too hyperactive to have a lecture from the pulpit. They'd much rather go off and have a party and play their games and not realise that they're being lectured at, whilst being taught through song and stories and, you know, all sorts of weird and fun activities. If you can slip in the virtue lessons that way, then they don't really realise they're actually being taught something, and they don't feel like they're being preached to.
A lovely interaction back when the Applewood Arms was still going.
Is it not anymore?
No, at least not at the moment. I still have a beer token from them that I feel cheated. But there was a High Guard priest dressed in silver and light blue. You probably know who you are. Who, whilst I was playing the melodeon, was insisting on trying to preach doctrine, and it was sort of a do I stop playing? Do I have the conversation? Then go back to playing? Like, good opinion. Play music, and that's having sort of a sermon, as it were, is not the Freeborn way. Yeah.
Okay. So
I have been known to lecture people.
I just had a quick glance over the introduction to the Freeborn religious beliefs, and in particular, it jumps out at me that the Freeborn value virtue very deeply, but have little time for priests and the synod that exist to mediate or dilute the message. So basically, they're a bunch of cats that resist herding, which is fine. It's just quite funny that also it says that like the synod with its doctrines and heresies is often seen as pompous and self-important, and I think that a lot of the people that play Sutannir are essentially playing middleman to the Freeborn people and the synod. So we're often living this double life of like talking to other nations and being like, let me explain to you very seriously and properly the things that you will understand in the serious way that you take them, and then coming back to the Freeborn and being like, so the squares said this, but at the heart, this is what they mean, and this is why you should take it to heart, and this is why they're doing it. So we're very much like that. It also says that the Freeborn Assembly has generally little formal structure outside of the synod, and is more a collection of individuals. And although we are now pretty structured, which is mostly my doing, that's basically because the Freeborn Assembly only tends to come together when there are matters of serious business to warrant the use of synod powers, and frankly, times are weird, and we need to organize ourselves to get shit done. And we've done some silly things, including just shutting down the General Assembly sometimes when they said something and we were like, "Now we can't overturn that."
Rocco says no.
It's usually a case of, right, we've got enough priests, right, everybody down to the hub.
It's so funny because we are ace at doing primacies, which might need some explanation for people that are new here. Primacy is basically where usually when you have something put through the synods, You go to the board and you put up your thing, and people vote on it to basically say yay or nay. And this takes some time, possibly the entire event. You put a time scale on it. But a primacy is when basically you get the number of priests and votes needed together to already have a greater majority, and then you walk into the hub and say, we all say this. And then it just immediately wins and no one has to vote. And
do that
we
a lot, don't we?
but it's really funny because people have this opinion of the Brass Coast that we're wacky and we're loose and free and we can't organize anything to save our lives, but we're a primacy machine. And Adam, who's often taking our primacy circle, is like, no, they're not like that. They are always doing primacies, at least one, maybe more an event.
Right.
I mean, I've had to pay priests to keep them in the hub while we're waiting for other priests to come along. With that kind of people, you know, they're like, we need you to wait 10 minutes. Oh, well, no, I haven't got 10 minutes. Have you got 10 minutes for some money? Yes, I've got 10 minutes for some money. But that's how the Brass Coast works. Everything's got a price, so it's very much of a.
We're going to have to move on to next questions. Otherwise, I feel that we're going to spend the entire stream talking about one question.
Reasonable. Although we do at some point need to talk about the broken wheel because that is
and honesty, just like the key thing of honesty.
Honesty, contracts, broken wheel.
We will definitely touch on broken wheel because I have bones to pick with broken wheel. So, right, okay. So next question then. So we'll go to Louis for this one because you didn't say anything. Basically, so what's the most popular virtue in the Brass Coast, and what do you wish was played more in the nation?
So I think there aren't as many prosperity priests as I'd expect there to be for a nation who's got an eye on their coin purses.
Yeah,
but I suppose it's because, in a way, the way that prosperity is considered in the coast is not the same as, say, where in the League, where money is obtained for money's sake. But I think a sort of prosperity is one of the very prominent virtues in the coast, even if it's not one that is sort of innately followed per se, in that you obtain wealth to get good things and to enjoy yourself and the company of the people around you. If you can go and get the drinks in, that is a good use of your coin and is reason enough to go and get coin. Or the fact that everything or most things can or do have their price, whether it be your time or whether it be that thing that you didn't think about selling, but somebody's asked you how much it's worth. So now you've got to reckon a price for it. But then you're sort of tied into that honesty aspect of then sort of, overinflate price and such. So I think prosperity is a key thing. And courage, especially among the Kohan as a group. So they're an area of the coast who are often forgotten about, but they are sort of like the Hikima, an independent-ish group of people whose whole character aim is that they're fighting on behalf of the coast, more or less, as a whole, not as a family group, not as a political agenda, unless they are contractually obliged to do so, which is entirely possible in the coast. And they are almost entirely dedicated towards courage, if not by their virtues they're dedicated to, then by their actions. So I think, courage and prosperity are very big in the coast.
Anyone else have anything to add to that, or was that pretty much nail on the head?
Yeah, we are sorely lacking in wisdom priests.
Yeah,
I think there's me and one other person.
Right?
There's one other person.
I can think of two prosperity priests off the top of my head. One of whom definitely gets around. Tiana. And is it begins with an I. Carry on.
Okay, so
Imelda.
Someone will put it in chat, I'm sure.
Yeah. I've had to pause chat for myself at the moment because I've got to get to the question. So I haven't scrolled all the way down to the bottom yet to see what's going on down there. So the Brass Coast versus prosperity. Why is prosperity so important to the Brass Coast that they forced the Empire to make it a new virtue when they joined the Empire?
So, as I was alluding to, prosperity isn't about just the acquisition of wealth in the coast. It's about the good things that having means brings. So, if you have the means by which you can invest in the fleets, in armies, in whatever, or just in a good party, then that's a good thing brought into the world by the money's presence. Money is not obtained to keep it; it's obtained to get rid of it again in some fashion.
Okay.
Unless
I
you're my
think
character.
it's making sure everyone's got some wealth, though.
Yeah.
Certainly in the Brass Coast, you'll find a lot of people aren't horrendously wealthy, like if you go into the league and things like that, because we constantly spend our money. Everything has best price. If you wander up around the Brass Coast, especially between us, if you wander up to someone and ask, "Have you seen such and such? Do you know where they are?" and someone goes, "Oh yeah, we saw them 2 minutes ago. They're heading for the hub." The likelihood is a Freeborn will pass you a ring and say thank you for that information. And so it's only a small amount, but it's just that appreciation, but also ensuring that everybody has the means to survive and get along, and nobody is poor.
And also,
it's not that everyone should be rich. It's well, this is how I see it: that nobody should be poor.
Okay.
I also think that it's a matter of just knowing that things are worth something. And we have this tradition of exchanging small amounts of money, even for tiny things like a seat by your fire, just anything. We will pay small amounts of money for anything and everything that other people will give away. However, it doesn't have to be money either. Sometimes the price is, "Oh, hi, can I take what's the price of taking a seat at your fire?" Well, you may regale us with a song story. So it's a matter of knowing the exchange and knowing how you are contributing and what value you are providing. So it doesn't always have to be money. Everything can have a price. Everything doesn't always have a price. And sometimes the price is not money. However, the quick way of doing that in very casual interactions is to exchange rings for small things. And the fact that you charge a small amount doesn't mean that you're trying to rip somebody off or you're just trying to get the money. It's a matter of showing that this thing that you're asking for, it has value, some value. So pay a small amount of money for it. And that's reciprocated across everyone, really.
Yeah.
And there's also sort of the on and off, which I've seen it some places, I've seen it, not seen it others. I've always tried to sort of follow it where I can because it makes for some fun role play of if somebody asks, how much is a seat at your table, and you don't want them to sit there and you say, well, for you it's £4, sod off, more or less. You don't say sod off, you say, no, the price is out of your price range. And then they say, actually, no, I can pay that. Well, you're kind of on a bound to accept that in a way. I've set a price for a thing, you've offered that price.
Yeah.
You're now entitled to a seat at this table, otherwise I'm reneging on this offer I just made. Someone asks, oh, well, how much do you want for that thing? And you go, oh, 20 thrones, because you don't think they'll ever pay it. And then they rock up with a 20 throne piece. Again, similar sort of thing. You are kind of now obliged to sell this thing to them because you told them what it was worth, and so it's obviously worth that. So if they've offered you that price, why wouldn't you then? Yeah. So that can lead to some interesting situations.
Yeah. That's us. And I saved someone's life in battle, and their way of saying thank you to me was, "I will always have a place around their fire." So when we were going along to their fire to have a drink with him, and someone said, "Oh, that will be a ring. You can come and join us." I said, "We've got quite a lot of people here," and he just came walking in and says, "He's never paying," and he gave me a drink, and that was really, really nice. It was epic bit of role play in the battle, and having a drink afterwards and exchanging drinks and chat and the stories and stuff like that was even better, and it was really, really nice and a real touching moment for me. he was killed in the skirmish late that evening, but well, that's by the by. It was still really, really good, and it was a really, really nice moment. Yeah, I do like that. I think the Brass Coast for me have gone from being one of my least favourite, because I think even people were saying from the beginning their take on the brief was everything was money. But then it was just like, no. Like everyone's saying, there's stories. It can be for anything here and stuff like that. And then that slowly came out more and more and more. And then the Brass Coast just got better and better and better. And they've become, fantastic to have around fires and fights, and just even sitting down within the tavern and stuff like that. I mean, I love to sit down and just tell stories with Vito and stuff like that, because we've both been fighting for so long, and we fight with each other. We meet up in the middle of a battle to have a little chat and stuff like that, and then we'll go off and have a scrap again, and we do stuff like that. And I really like that about the Brass Coast. I think of the Brass Coast as petulant children. That's pretty much my thoughts on the Brass Coast, but that is someone who doesn't play as Brass Coast. I don't really read the brief, so sorry.
I think most priests see Freeborn as petulant children
I think that
at times.
the reason that might come across sometimes is because the Freeborn very much have the opinion that respect needs to be earned. Rather, like, we're not necessarily going to automatically like treat you like you're the big what is. If you turn up and you're like, I'm great, we're gonna be like, okay.
As you.
Yeah.
And like they won't necessarily respect you just because you have a position. They respect you if you can provide that value, that prosperity that we're talking about. That if you know what you're talking about, if you can help, if you can pull your weight, if you're someone that contributes, not necessarily in a money way, but you know that you're worth it, and that's often something that can take a bit of time. In the meantime, you might get ribbed a fair amount, because people like to have a laugh, and if you're an unknown quantity, you're kind of easy pickings.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not malicious, just
no,
a bit of ribbing.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a bit of gentle ribbing. Next, Drunken Corsair has asked, what's your favourite Brass Coast tradition? I get a feeling this might lead into Broken Wheel or something, so...
See, I'm not a big fan of the Broken Wheel, so I'll let someone else talk on this one, I think.
I love the Broken Wheel. Amazing.
I love it as an idea, OC. In character, I get a bit bar humbug about it, because I feel icy that it has gone beyond what it should have been and is now become All Fool's Day rather than the appreciation of Virtue Day. And so I like to be grumpy about it, IC. But OC at least some fantastic sort of playtime.
I have many and deep in-character opinions about it, and in particular, in character, I'm constantly defending it and explaining it. I have made several judgments explaining things to people, going forth and preaching to people that it's not heresy, etc. On an out-of-character basis, I find that my participation in and enjoyment of the Broken Wheel has gone down over time, but I think that's just because I've got so much going on. When I first started the game, I didn't have very much in terms of plot, and I wasn't involved in a lot of stuff. So it was great when it was happening, because it was like, wow, shenanigans. And I have some very fun memories of doing exciting Broken Wheel times. But as time has gone on and I became a Sutannir, I'm always in meetings, and especially being Gatekeeper of Pride, I'm basically always on. I can't afford to be like, well, all of Saturday night is signed off, and it's sort of become more of an I'll do some token japes, but I'll also be available. It's also become more important, I think, as a Sutannir and someone who is playing that role of mediating between the synod and the ordinary people, being like, I want you to have fun, but also don't do crimes.
Don't do heresy.
and also explaining the cultural significance to people that don't really get it. And I'm very much in danger of going on. So, Tian, you were going to say things.
No, I miss out on a lot of the broken wheel because I feel like I should be on duty as a well-known priest. Because all the day before the broken wheel, I'm going round to virtue assemblies. I'm going round to various egregores and things like that, and saying, like, I'm obvious. You can spot me in the dark. If you have a problem with any freeborn during the broken wheel, come and find me. I will either explain why they're not doing heresy, or I will go and explain to them why they shouldn't be doing heresy. I do still have fun. You know, I include myself in the Shay games.
I played music for that once. That was good.
I love the Shay games. The Shay, basically the not the Hikima, the words
Kohan?
Kohan. Kohan do a sort of stupid game thing, which usually includes greasing Vito up and making them run through the camp while a lot of people chase him.
Including me with an accordion chasing after him.
Yeah, I mean, we had to stop things like the shin kicking and that kind of thing. That got a bit dangerous. But pushing each other off a log and Kohan herding, we had. I had some cowbells, so they went and did that. It's just people can join in, just do silly things. But that's a big part now of the Broken Wheel celebrations, I suppose, is the Shay Games. And people come from other nations just to join in those. But I join in them. Tend to be a bit of a judge now because I'm not allowed to do contact anymore. But I'm always there, vigilant as to whether, you know, is somebody doing crimes, is somebody being heretical or something like that, because ultimately, even with the broken wheel, we're discovering what the importance of being virtuous is by parodying it almost. Not necessarily being unvirtuous, but not being virtuous on that night.
I think one of the descriptions I saw was you can't see one side unless you have a glimpse of the other to see what the contrast is.
Yeah, it's what would the world be like if we weren't virtuous? You know, oh my god, it would be terrible.
Would be from Highgard.
And that.
Sorry.
That's really what I feel that the broken wheel is. It's us discovering that actually, one, it's an outlet. You know, one night a year, we've got this outlet. We can, we're an honest society, and this is the time we can lie. You know, it's very much of a
lies.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that
no, I'm not.
have people come up to me and say, "What such and such told me this." I found out it's a lie, and you know, Freeborn, you're not supposed to lie. And it's like, when did they tell you this? Oh, last summit. Okay, what day did they tell you this? What time did they tell you this? If it was after dark on the Saturday, that's broken wheel. You can trust a Freeborn any other time, but if it's during broken wheel, you need to stop and think: is that real? And that's almost a lesson to everyone else that you can't always trust people. People do lie, and even the most honest nation has, okay, we do it overtly. You know, we're very much of a hello, I'm lying to you. But some people take you seriously on that evening, even though they know it's broken wheel. It's teaching them that sometimes you have to use your own initiative, use your own thoughts, rather than just assume. Use your own vigilance, yeah. Rather than
think for yourself.
But this is where my character gets annoyed by it all, because they want to be able to do business on a Saturday evening, and suddenly it's impossible because no one will trust you, or people will go, "Oh, well, you guys, you do silly things from time to time. We don't know when it's going to happen, but sometimes you do." And it's like, no. Even though it's Saturday night, I am capable of doing an honest deal if I need to, and that can sometimes be a bit difficult to do if everybody else is running around being a Muppet.
Yeah, I have a very strict philosophy when it comes to my hall's fire, and he's like, oh, it's broken wheel tonight. Any brass coats turn up and go, hi, it's like, fuck off. Go away, not interested, go away. You are not welcome here. There is a reason why, for my character especially, there is a reason why I am like that. But we are going to get into Broken Wheel a bit in a little bit, because I'm quite concerned now, because my chat has gone. It's going on and on and on, and I think we've got a lot of questions to get through.
While, but I have like 2 big Broken Wheel points ready in my pocket to go when we come back to this.
Good. That's what I like to hear. So, if we crack on with these, then, and we try to get through them relatively quickly, these questions. So, right. So, this is from Rachel. So, why did you choose a particular last name of the 3 sisters? Was it to do with a family background, something you wanted to embody, or another reason entirely? I have no idea what that's referring to.
Family background.
I know what that's referring to. However, I think the important context on this is that only very recently have we actually had any guidance on how to choose your name. So I think the real answer, if you just want the facts from all of us here, is we probably picked it because it sounded good. But the thing is that there literally wasn't anything on the wiki about it. It was like, there are 3 founders. You're related matrilineally to one of them. So pick one. And like when you get married, usually it depends on the contract, obviously, but tradition is that the man would take the woman's name. But like if they're from a different tribe, they keep their tribe name because they're still related to who they're related to. But all of that is out the window now, because historical documents were found in Atalaya after we were reconstructing the lighthouse and the historical buildings there. Atalaya being the first place where the 3 sisters landed when they were founding the Brass Coast. Historical documents that tell us that, perhaps unsurprisingly, all the entourages of the 3 sisters weren't all related. They were part of the extended households, like political followers, etc., of the 3 sisters. Also, the 3 sisters are not related. They're just 3 sisters in philosophy. So basically, no one is related. And the reason that people took on following the particular founder that they were following was because of ideals and the things that they wanted to embody at the time. So what this is transferred into is that now that we've discovered that, we basically choose what our tribe is depending on what values we hold utmost in ourselves. And there was a big amnesty and a big party where people were like, I thought all my life I was related to Erigo, but really I find that my philosophies align more with Guerra. So from this day onwards, I shall be somebody something Guerra. And everyone's like, yeah, that's your name now. And you can do that at any time. So in practice, and because this is very recent, it has happened in play. If you're going to play a new Brass Coast person, chances are you might have thought that you were one tribe, but then suddenly there was this amnesty ongoing. Actually, you can pick depending on what things you value. Then you should read the wiki, read the brief, and think about why you are that tribe. I have stayed the tribe that I am because it turns out that Guerra means exactly what I'm about, but some people have changed.
I may well change at some point. I need to go through the IC process of that.
And you can do it at any time is the thing, and maybe you haven't had time to properly digest it or choose, because it's reasonable to take the choice seriously. And we should have a party every time someone discovers their true self. More parties, constantly parties.
Okay, so so next question. This one's specifically for Irina.
Oh,
As-
like I haven't talked enough. Sure.
It actually says it in the question. So, a hypothetical situation for Arena. How bad would it be for someone to receive a gift from a Freeborn character and then completely accidentally repay that gift with a black gift, asking for a friend?
Oh, hi, Matt. I remember that incident. It was a beautiful thing, but I don't use it in character. I use it out of character because. Anyway, it depends. The thing is, we have cultural meanings for black and white. White means poverty, but it's more in depth than that. But I won't talk about it because that's not the question. Black usually signifies death for us. The reason being that when someone has died, assuming we have a body, before we proceed to the lovely, flamey conflagration and party that ensues for the funeral, we shroud them in black. So the meaning of death is specifically in black cloth. It doesn't extend to black ink on paper. It doesn't extend to black, like say you've colored some wood or leather black. Like we'll raise some eyebrows at the look of it. If it's all black, we'll be like, that's a statement. But
it's about thing that you wear that's black, isn't it? It's about wearing black.
It's about wearing black, and it's about black cloth. There have been times where people have told other people, "I wish you would die," by tying a black ribbon on their tent. However, sometimes people like to mourn by adding some black accents into their clothes. Usually, it's not full black Rago. You have to know the implications when you use black and what you're saying with it. And some people do choose to say some pretty black things. But yeah, so sometimes people make a nod to death by using little black things. Giving somebody a black thing, a black cloth thing, which you did, Matt, basically is appropriate. Say, like, if you're mourning, if the person is mourning, you're like, oh, you have suffered a loss. Perhaps that might be a gracious sort of gesture. You'd probably have to explain why the black. But yeah, generally it's like, oh, like, you will die, or I wish you die, or everyone dies. It's quite heavy.
It's almost like saying, you should anticipate death here, have some black.
Yeah, it's a kind of memento mori, really. Be mindful of death. So we don't really make use of full black cloth things, and even small black cloth things, unless we're trying to say something with it, and it'll be a little different for everyone. But at the same time, we're not stupid. We know that other people have different traditions from us. So although we'd be like, oh, that's really pretty, but I'll never use it. We wouldn't be like, oh, you're telling me to die because, oh, hey, you're a Liga. You wear black. Like, I don't think that you want to die because you're wearing black, because that's not what it means to you. And I can't expect you to necessarily know all of my traditions and what everything means. So, you know, we're fully sentient people that can understand the context of, oh, you didn't get it. But at the same time, like, although I'm not going to take it in the rudest way, thanks, but I'm probably not going to use that thing very much.
Yeah, I've just scanned down just to see. Matt said, "Great answer. I may look to rectify this in the future." So that's the sort of thing.
You might, if they give you something cloth, you might wear it for your funeral garb.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the specific thing that I know Matt gave me, which is beautiful. It's beautiful, and I love it. Out of character, I have it. I use it for my paintbrushes, but in character, no. I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is a question from Kai. How have you gone about creating new music that fits the Brass Coast music brief?
I've written a tune. When I started out, like my
Isn't
first
it
event.
beautiful?
Ooh, pretty.
That is really nice, yeah.
I love it, but I can't use it in character.
Sorry, Louis, carry on, mate.
So yeah, when I first came to Empire, I'd not been long playing the accordion, and I had this repertoire of English and French traditional tunes.
Mm.
Some of them felt right, some of them didn't, and I wanted some sort of battle march tune for the Brass Coast, and so I wrote one. And I think that I did it sort of in a French style because it felt right for the coast. But then you get a lot of filking going on of people taking actual trad stuff and then converting it to be in character appropriate with varying degrees of success.
Yeah.
You know, some of them work very, very well. Some of them are a little bit too forced to not break immersion sometimes, but I am also aware that that's something that I'm bringing because I'm being a folk snob and I know what the originals are, and so I'm going, oh, that's not right. So I think people do a lot of taking original source material from traditional roots and bringing that in. There have been a few where there have been good, notable in-character situations. People have made their own stuff. You mentioned one earlier.
I write original songs. It's good fun.
Yeah, I think it happens all over the field, really, doesn't it? It's not just Brass Coast who come up with their own songs and things. Everyone has a go at it.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is that if people already know the tune, it's easier to get people to join in. So I completely understand the filking. But at the same time, like there's a lot of original songs about that have gained this sort of iconic status where, like, because they become popular in character, that now people know them.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we'll go for TN on this one. So you mentioned that Brass Coast religion isn't very priestly or priesty. What forms does it actually take, and is it very performance based?
Yeah, I'd say it's very performance based. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not very priesty. It's just it's not very preachy.
Right. Okay.
That's the difference. It's not standing in the pulpit with your crowd of congregation and giving them, you will do this, you won't do this. This is how it's done. This is heresy. It just doesn't work. It's it's having a dance. It's everybody singing along to something. It's having a party where something's hidden, and we've all got to learn vigilance by finding the sort of thing. It's that's a terrible analogy, but I could explain it better.
I wonder if you teach vigilance and wisdom within a escape room.
Yeah, there's lots of other ways you can do it without being preachy. Not to say we won't dress someone down and say, no, oi, stop it. I've been known to red pen a few pamphlets before that have been a bit heretical. But people don't want preaching to,
No.
they want to party, they want to have fun, and that's how you learn. You learn, as far as the Brass Coast are concerned, as far as I'm concerned, the Brass Coast, we learn through play, we learn through fun, we learn through happiness. We'll learn a lot better if we're having fun with it, as opposed to sitting there being lectured at thinking, oh my goodness, I don't want to be here. You get your message across so much better if you can do it when and everybody's enjoying it, everybody's happy to be learning something, even if they don't realise they're learning. Sort of stories and songs and that kind of, and games that will teach you things.
Yeah.
Just quickly in summary, I think very much this, but also that we're more about praising good behavior rather than punishing bad behavior. I mean, shaming people is kind of against the precepts of pride anyway. But you know, like preaching at people and explaining why they did wrong is sort of like a less shamey but still kind of shamey version of doing that. We're not really about that. We're like, let's learn the lesson about how we will do better next time. Or
Gather round,
look
children.
at that guy over there. He did this, which was very virtuous in this way. Hooray! Let's have a party. And then everyone's like, hey, if I'm a cool guy and I'm virtuous, people will go, look at that cool virtuous person. Hey, let's have a party. So we're very much carrot rather than stick.
Yeah. Right. I've got a couple of questions from the from Drunken Corsair. So I've worked my way down to the bottom now. So I'll do these two questions last, and then we'll get on to Broken Wheel.
Again.
Yeah. So because there's been a couple of comments on Broken Wheel as well. So first one, how do the Freeborn view death and funerals, and how do they differ from other nations?
I've already gone into that quite a lot, so if someone else wants to offer their perspective.
I mean, it's as you said earlier, it's an opportunity for celebrating the life of the person rather than being sad. Well, you are still sad, but rather than going into a low energy grieving state, you go into a high energy celebratory state. You know, and it's all about that celebration of what they were, who they were, what they achieved, preferably that they were virtuous, and also that in opposition to other nations, we cremate our dead, you know, almost universally. And not being able to retrieve somebody from the battlefield to go through that funeral process is considered a very, you know, super no bueno as far as the coast is concerned. So quite often, there, you know, we sort of, I think we've had sort of funerals in absence, but there have been forays through the central gate to go and get somebody's body back, because having that is important. Whereas I'm pretty sure, please tell me who, but I'm pretty sure there's a nation, at least one nation, for whom the body's at rest somewhere, so that's fine. And I think that's definitely not not the coast's point of view.
Yeah, I think the Navarre are kind of like that. We're very much, oh yeah, they're dead. Did anyone get their boots? That's what that's I have heard that happen before. It's like, oh, did anyone get their weapons? They say, yeah, they had a really nice spear on them. Did anyone grab that? That was very much that sort of aspect from there.
I think you're going to say the same thing as me, aren't you?
I mean, I don't know, but what I was going to add to that is that I think a part of it is to do with our clothing hearth magic, in that we believe that as you wear things, basically your close items and particularly clothing that you have absorb some of your essence. And generally, because your soul is still in some things, it helps you to move on when you and everything that your soul clung to, your physical body and the clothes that you wore are burnt, because of course we like flame. It is one of our three things. But at the same time, it's a part of that moving on and making sure that the soul is free and unburdened. So if we don't have a body, sometimes we'll go to someone's tent and like get some of the tagamus that they wore and like burn some of that in, which is why we sort of have this sort of weird feelings about people sharing clothes. It's like, oh, it's not me. I can't wear someone else's. You buy someone new clothes. That we don't have secondhand clothes. The only time when you would pass on clothes would be, say, if you have a child who is still forming and you're like, hey, Auntie Constanza died in battle today, but she was a great pinnacle of our nation and she sang such wonderful songs and filled us with pride. We hope that you'll learn from her and that this scarf that she wore, small child, will guide you in the formation of your soul as you grow up. So that's the only reason why we would pass on worn fabrics, really.
Okay.
I had, because I was in Navarre and moved to Brass Coast, and I had a real problem because when you leave Navarre, you do the unburdening, and you give all your stuff away to the rest of the Navarre. But when you're in the Brass Coast, you don't give your stuff away to other people. And my character was originally Brass Coast, moved to Navarre, and then back to Brass Coast. So I had this thing in my head of, I still wanted to honour the Navarre, give them things, but at the same time, I couldn't bring, once I could come into the Brass Coast, I couldn't bring myself to then go, well, no, this is, I've been wearing this for years. I can't let anyone else wear this. So I had a burning of my Navarre items, well, my Navarre clothing. I gave some items away, but in terms of clothing, that got burnt in order for me to be sort of released into my new life in the Brass Coast, and sort of shed the traditions of the Navarre and move on to Brass Coast. So it's sort of a mini funeral for my past.
There is a tradition as well around sort of keeping, not like, I'm trying to differentiate between sort of accessory clothing and main clothing. Most of the main clothing is burnt, but sometimes what you'll do is keep a distinctive item, and that might become a family heirloom that might possess the wisdom of this ancestor and could be worn at times of need. That is a thing, although most of those things would then sort of be kept and be passed through the family, and I think the theory is then that they get burnt at some point in the future once they become too ragged, if I remember the wiki. So the idea, as you were saying earlier, is that those have gained an essence of the person, and so either let them free or keep just a little bit for the family.
It's quite interesting that I quite like the funerary rites from all the nations. They are very, very interesting because it's all very unique to each nation. I like the burning. I like that's good. When my first character, my other character, my Navari was killed, they laid him down, put a ring in each eye, and people came over to say nice things about him, and then they carried him off to a field, and then came back with his stuff. And that was literally it. So there was nothing big. It was just Matt has just said orcs, chuck them in a ditch with the rest of the dead. Yeah. So the Navarre sort of like, we'll talk positively about it and we'll remember the nice times. But I've had my eye on his boots for a while now, and that's pretty much the way they go. And it's really I find all these sorts of things quite interesting. So
Navarre can't afford to waste. They don't have much. You can't keep them pilfering a pair of boots.
No, and I've been playing through. So I've gone from Navarre to Wintermark, so I've been playing through the magic sort of taking over. I've been playing out over a year, so it would have been E1 this year. I would have been doing the whole. Yeah, I'm definitely not Navarre. Here's my stuff and the things to make the whole thing complete. But obviously it'll be E1 next year now. So I look forward to actually, doing that. So it means I need to do a lot more work on my kit, basically, because I've been really lazy. So, but it is what it is. So we're going to, the Drunken Corsair's last question. So, favourite non-religious Freeborn tradition or hearth magic? No one, no takers on that one.
I suppose contracts are the big one, really.
They give you so much opportunity to get stuck in with the role player. Like, I want to make this deal. Right, let me get my book out, and we'll do the.
At the very least, it's a napkin contract. Yeah, got many of them. In blood on the contract. That's something I quite like. It's not just the written contract; it's sort of sealed in blood.
Usually can be in blood because we're to the realm of autumn, which is the realm of wheeling and dealing, and also loyalty and holding you to your word.
Yeah.
So yes, Cambians have pricked thumbs a lot.
I've got a special needle I use.
Here's where I bled earlier, so I don't have to prick my thumb for you now.
Auntie Hem's got a special needle pricking, thumb pricking needle that she's got. She only uses to. But my blood's on a lot of contracts. Contracts
are really fun. And I think in particular, they highlight for me this really weird dichotomy in the Brass Coast, in that we're the Freeborn. We love freedom. We're spontaneous and we're wild and free, but also let's get that in.
I'm here, please.
We're really square about making sure that there's a record. And it's basically a matter of anything goes, but let's all be clear on it. And so no one will question it later. I have a whole song that I wrote about this.
That song's brilliant.
Sorry, I'm dying of thirst. So thirsty. Okay. I have... That's right, thanks, I'm just down that. I have had one experience with contracts. And it was with two new players come to the game, and someone in Brass Coast. Basically, my character, something had happened to me. I told these two new players, they were playing my nieces at the time, and someone in the Brass Coast, I'm not going to name any names because if you want to find out more, obviously we can find this one out in play, because it will probably get a hammer to the face if you come asking about it. They then got one of my nieces to sign a contract about it all, and I was fuming when I found that one out because of the details of this contract, and so I've now tried to get Vito involved to try to help me sort this out. But it's a really, really interesting one, this, because I'm determined that the person who wrote the contract owes me a lot of money now, so I will be trying to get this one sorted out again. I think she knows who she is. She knows I'm coming for her. And that, but it's really, really interesting. I like the whole contract thing. Was absolutely fascinating, and it was very well worded. But there are a couple of errors within it that you can pick out, and that's what I'm sort of like going, ooh. And stuff.
But a test of vigilance for everyone involved, because you have to make sure that the thing you're signing is the real deal. So it's also an exercise in virtue. So
I remember getting told off making my contracts too much like legislation, because I'm there having gone through, so I was going, right, we need to cover all the bases, so every possible avenue of attack that this thing might come under. So I've got pages of conditions, this might occur, in this case do this. And it's like, can we not just have a thing that says we owe you them? No, it's not that simple. If you want this PI inkpad, all right.
I used to be a scrivener, and I stopped being a scrivener because I realized that what I was doing, what I actually wanted to do, was be a Sutannir. But a part of the reason that I'm not a scrivener and didn't really enjoy scrivening is because I work for lawyers, and I just think too thoroughly about these things, and ultimately it's not fun for me to be like, this is my holiday, and to just be like, let's think of all of the angles and phrase it just right. It takes so much time. It's because I want to do it properly that I don't want to do it. However, I do it sometimes, and only for very pretty contracts, really, because I am an artist, and I like to make pretty contracts. So I consider myself more of an illuminator type of scrivener when and if I keep my hand in. I have this box for my paperwork, which is very pretty, and I will show you a couple of my prettiest contracts.
Just a
Oh,
quick...
hey, look, it's the Sutannir of the Wheel contract.
Oh wow!
Hey, it's written very neat.
Yeah, you know when you sign up to your National Assembly and you have to go to God and read read out your contract or whatever it is that you've agreed to. We just walk up and go, no, it's a Google document.
I've got a couple of things that I've scanned where I have spares. So when you go to God and they're like, recite your oath, you're like, here's my oath. Here's my signature.
It is lengthy. I'm not reciting it.
No.
Wow.
But also, I'm very proud of these twin courting contracts from me and Puglo.
Oh.
It's
Oh
like
yes, relationship contracts are a thing.
so pretty.
Oh yeah. Everything's a contract.
think
You
you
want to be in a
could reach my
relationship with
wooden
someone, you've got a
box?
contract.
See, this is where my OC uncomfortableness is with the idea of prescriptive relationships and being bound into something. You know, don't get me wrong, I commitment as much as the next person, but having a piece of paper that says so just kind of irked me, and so it's something I've always avoided. I see.
The thing is that
There's a light
this
on top
one,
of it. Be careful. There's three
it's
things on top of
free
it.
and easy,
Don't
and
worry about it.
it's basically a preliminary sort of courting contract, which is like for a year.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Like,
whoa.
hey, let's do this for a year. You can buy yourself out. Here's what's expected. Here's how you break it. All of that. Sorry, you're making faces.
Yeah, my other half is grabbing my Larp box for me, but there are three things precariously poised on top of it, and it's over a fish tank.
Sorry, did you say smash it? I think I heard you say smash it.
So, and it was like wobbling a bit, and I was like, I didn't want it all to. I didn't care about my stuff. It would just end up in a fish tank. That was my big thing. So you have a wonderfully nice, clean box for your stuff. Yeah, this is a state of mind. Let's see if I can.
That was it.
No.
The thing is that we got really good play out of this because a couple of times the contract did come up. The main way in which it came up was, of course, that Puglo died in the final season of the contract. And I was actually being like, oh, okay, the contract's going to finish next season. We're going to have to renegotiate. I might ask him to marry me. I think this is going quite well. Then he died.
That wasn't in the contract, was it? I think he's broken the contract.
Well, the thing is that it specifies that in the case of death, that you won't start another contract for a season afterwards. So there is a contracted period of mourning.
The most Freeborn thing ever.
It's not even in there.
Also, it was really funny when we were both in the day realm and there were experiments. Oh, you got your copy there. Very nice. Yeah, so pretty. And they'd sort of imprisoned Puglo and were trying to do experiments and like tempt him with things. And they wanted to test like the Freeborn value for contract versus the Freeborn's value of anything can have a price. Basically, they were like, how much can we pay you to break your contract? And that was really interesting. Basically, he came down eventually on the side and they brought me in and were like, he was like, Constanza, the bit in the contract where like you can like pay for infidelity, like, and also you have to say it's okay. Can I be unfaithful to you? And I was like, let me think about that. No. And he was like, oh, well, I asked, I can't break it. It is fair and square. And they were like, well, we'll pay you to break it. And in the end, he said, well, anything can have a price, but I don't have to give it one. And being a contract breaker, willingly becoming a contract breaker, will be a mark against me and a weight on my soul. I would interpret it as sort of akin to dishonesty. I'm not sure that my soul would stay whole from doing that. It's kind of like lying or crack my soul. So no, I'm not going to give it a price. And they were like, aha, we have learnt things.
all contracts that I write are on the back of my flyers.
Nice.
I advertise with my contracts. Yeah, oh yes.
Well, the contract I was looking for turns out wasn't in the box, so it's going to be in my my little man bag, my IC man bag, in all my Larp stuff in the bedroom somewhere. So never mind, I'll fish it out another time. But yeah, I will be coming over to the Brass Coast again to try to get my lots of money. I think it's like a throne. So it's nothing really. I think I've got like 10, 15 thrones in my purse.
Piddling throne.
Yeah, a piddling throne.
I have a stream suggestion because I'm having feelings of wanting to sing you my song about contracts, but that would take too much time. So I propose a stream in which people sing a bunch of in-character songs. I mean, we've got
music
songs and stories, and people should go check that out. We had a really good one on, if you go to Idwin the Bard, that's on Twitch, IDWYNTHEBARD.
Yeah, song and story time.
Yeah, virtual songs and stories, and there are lots of people doing performances in character there. Some of them filmed, some of them original, and you know, like Twitch streams, they don't stay up forever, so check it out. It's mostly Navarre, but other people come along as well.
Yeah,
I sing there. There's leaguers. There's all sorts.
I did Tent Aid, which was raising money for the League Theatre to buy them a new tent, which they have now done.
Nice.
And that was people from all nations that I had, and I'm actually doing another one for E4. So that's going to be huge, and it's going to be a competition. There's going to be prizes to be won for that one. But we digress. But yes, there will be another musical thing going on.
I think you should do a sing-song stream.
I will be doing a sing-song stream. That's a definite. I did the Spring Festival, and I actually sang in it myself. I had enough beer. So they managed to get a song out of me, and I don't sing.
I sang in the Spring Festival, and I definitely don't sing. I'm terrible. I sang the Lobster song.
You did sing the Lobster song. So, Broken Wheel. We'll touch on Broken Wheel because I think it's. We've been going for an hour and 20 now. So as I always say, I try to limit these to an hour. So an hour and 20. So Broken Wheel. For me, to start off with, it felt like it was an excuse for the Brass Coast to be dicks. That's how it felt to start off with. And a couple of people from Brass Coast came into the Navarre to go, I'm just going to lie, I'm going to cheat, I'm going to steal, I'm going to do all of this sort of stuff. And so that's why I've dressed as a Navarre. And it was like, oh, no.
There's got to be wisdom in the way in which you dabble in your hearth magic. It's all well and good experimenting with alternative sort of lifestyles that aren't virtuous, but when you're doing it in such a way that's going to get you stabbed, then you've gone too far, in my opinion.
Yes, I believe that some of the people involved in that one were inquisited for a distinct lack of wisdom on that front. But deliberately having people, Brass Coasters, come up to you and go, I'm pretending to be I'm going to be a Navarre, so I'm doing this. This is what Broken Wheel is, and it's like, it's not. You can go away now. So I've just got to the point where, because I'm security for my hall, I'm the house Carl for my hall, so I will literally, any Brass Coasters, apart from Vito, probably. So Vito will come along.
Not Brass Coasters.
We're Freeborn.
You can put your
Brass
coat on
Coasters.
if you like, but you won't get it back.
You lie on a table and I put my drinks on you. Sorry.
How very rude.
So, Freeborn came along, and they will always be told, just no, go away. Vito will come along. He doesn't seem to be one for Broken Wheel himself, and he'll come along. He'll come along, sit down, and he'll just have a few drinks with us, and then he'll bugger off. So
he's normally covered in grease.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen him after that. I didn't ask. I just gave him a drink and then left. But no, that's pretty much it. So there are a lot of things. One of the comments that I wanted to read out is from Scott, and he said the problem is for every good broken wheel thing, you get 2 crap ones and 2 drunken twats. So
the thing is that as Sutannir, we are very clear and just tell as many people as we can that if you do things that are crimes on Broken Wheel, the laws are still the same. So just bear that in mind, because you're going to have to bear the consequences even when you're not broken wheeling. You can't control everybody. Everyone is an individual, and there will always be some people that like want to push things too far or just have that excuse. And I think that's the case just across the board. It's just people, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
if you do crimes, you're gonna get prosecuted as though you did a crime, because even if you're pretending to do a crime, guess what? You did the crime.
Yeah. Offend people.
If you go
offended people, you have offended people.
Yeah.
If you go and upset the Navarre to the point where they want to stab you in the back, and you're not doing broken wheel properly, and if you get stabbed in the back, frankly, it's your fault.
However, I will say about people dressing up as other nations, because it happens a lot and it's very popular, and I don't think it's always problematic. I think it is in the context that you were saying, but especially if it's sort of pantomime and like, oh, I'm this nation, etc. And the thing is that you think that that's saying that's being unvirtuous to be another nation and caricatures, and also, Louis, you said that I think this is also possibly one of the things that makes you say that it's sort of become a festival of fools. However, I would like to offer some context about things that came to light from past life visions, etc.
Sorry, Rowena. I just want to read out what Matt Dawes has just said, because it's another example of it's a bad thing, because you're obviously going to want to offer the counter of this is an explanations and stuff. So I think this will fit in with this bit, and then it will lead into what you're going to say. So do apologise for interrupting. Horrifying broken wheel shenanigans. A group of Freeborn alerting the Imperial Orc camp to an assassination down the back road in the woods where an Imperial Orc had been attacked and killed. That did not go down well. I think he meant where an Imperial Orc...
Yeah. For clarity, what had an Orc actually been killed, or was it just them making something up? Sorry.
I think that it sounds like I think they had made it up. So I think that's... Yeah. So I think they made up an assassination attempt and someone had actually been killed.
Oh
no, it was a lie. So they said someone had been killed.
Well,
which had set it all off.
I think that's an interesting thing to hear about, but I don't think that's actually any kind of problem. I mean, it's a cruel joke, but at the same time, lying is not a crime, and even fraud isn't a crime. So telling someone that something happened when it didn't isn't any kind of crime. You can just kind of be cross about it.
Although if the militia get involved and you're wasting militia time, then potentially.
Yeah, I think it brings that particular thing takes back to when I was saying everybody knows we have the broken wheel, and everyone should know when it is, because certainly as priests we spend a lot of time on that weekend telling everybody, warning everyone, and letting everyone know why the broken wheel is as it is and what they can do if people are breaking the law and things like that. It's like, if they're breaking the law, report them. If you've got a problem, come and talk to us. But at the same time, remember it's the broken wheel, and if you've got a Freeborn coming up to you and saying something on that night, you should be vigilant and wise and consider, is this real? Is this a broken wheel thing? Or is this a Freeborn actually telling the truth? Because we use the broken wheel to teach people the fact that people don't always tell the truth.
No.
And the most honest nation doesn't always people can lie. And it should be a lesson to other people as well as that. I mean, I certainly don't think you should do crimes, and you probably shouldn't. Certain things, don't hug an Urizen. They probably don't piss the orcs off. But at the same time, if it's not actually illegal to do said thing, it's not unvirtuous to do said thing, then it's part of the broken wheel. And I think other nations need to realise that just as we respect everybody else's I want to say holiday
Traditions.
festival, that's the word I'm looking for. They need to respect ours and understand that we are different than you.
Yeah.
Well, as you said as well about being vigilant and not taking things for granted, even though we're generally honest across the board, etc. At the same time, it's something worth bearing in mind in general, because you can't take national character for granted either, because everyone will have bad eggs, and there will be some people who are okay with some cracks in their soul. And there are people that will lie even when it's not broken wheel. And we can't control everyone. Not everyone is a pillar of virtue. Obviously, we try to encourage that. But some people are just bad eggs. That's why you've got to consider that. But
I'd be interested in how far you could get the Freeborn character who decided to just lie constantly, and see how long you could spin that out for before you just got hounded down.
Yeah. Matt said, just to be clear, I don't see this interaction as a bad one. As has been mentioned, it was a prank. A bit of a risky one with a darker side, but it was still a prank, and well done to the characters who pulled 5 to 10 orcs out of the camp and got them chasing around. But some of those people really weren't happy. But it's all roleplay at the end of the day. So yeah, I think so no orc had died, but Suda found out that the orcs instantly lost interest in any assassination and focused on finding the Freeborn who started it. Sadly, I don't think anyone has found them yet. There was drunken Corsair, talking about broken wheel. My last broken wheel was pretending to preach the word of Wendigo. Interesting. And for Rachel, last broken wheel, we had some people come along from Navarre dressing up as Freeborn. How do you feel about other nations joining in with the fun? See, I would have said that was a good thing, because it's showing an acceptance of another nation's culture.
I mean, I think we'd have a good laugh about it, but we don't expect anyone to do it.
No.
Just because it's very inherent to us, sort of echoing back and turning back on their heads, like our traditions. I don't think that you can necessarily get the nuance by being from another nation, because if you turn up, like if you're a Navarre and you turn up to Freeborn and you're like, I'm lying today, there isn't that nuance of I don't lie every other day.
The juxtaposition is important.
Yeah. But although actually this links into where I was going to go earlier, so if you don't mind, I'll finish my thought, which is that from past life visions, we have gained a deeper understanding of the context of the broken wheel as it was initially intended. In that basically it was meant to let people sort of walk a mile in someone else's shoes. So putting yourself in someone else's position it can be a part of it. So putting yourself in the place of someone who is unvirtuous echoes back to that thing of not taking things for granted and constantly using your own vigilance and wisdom, but also fosters a sort of understanding of other people's ways and realities. So actually in how we sometimes dress up as other nations and maybe sometimes seem like we're being caricatures of them, that's the sort of the laugh side of it. But the heart of it is actually like, I'm trying to understand what it's like to be something other than myself. So it's not necessarily a lack of virtue thing. So it's not like, oh, I'm dressed up as a Navarre because I'm trying to be unvirtuous, and Navarre are unvirtuous. It's not that.
No.
But it's coming from the same place of, I'm showing the other option. And the other side of that is questioning established traditions and established rules, which is why we act against tradition, and we sometimes like play or skirt around or joke that we're breaking laws, because the broken wheel gained a really big meaning during the time of orc slavery, when the Brass Coast, of course, were very much against slavery, and slavery was a part of the institution. And a lot of Freeborn were basically selling very cheaply or providing weapons to the Orc Rebellion, supporting that. We had Emperor Raz, who eventually abolished slavery, but slavery was a part of the system. It was normal, it was tradition, and we questioned tradition, and we said, no, we don't need that anymore. We're against it. So that's also why the broken wheel is sort of tied a little bit to doing crimes and questioning the law.
Right.
Obviously, you shouldn't do crimes, but the mentality of it is, are there things that maybe aren't worth it to us as a society anymore? It's questioning society, where we stand in it, and what we actually think about it, and whether maybe there are some things that we could change.
Yeah. Okay. It's a very interesting way of explaining it, because I think there is definitely that stigma that comes with broken wheel, that everyone looks at it and goes, "Ugh, it's this again." So I think that will be something I've always done on all of these streams, especially for the new players, is I will always encourage everybody to go to other nations and always ask questions. If there's something especially with broken wheel, I would say it now. If there's something that you've got questions of, so you've had the bad experience with, go and ask that question. Find a priest, go and ask that question and say, but this is what's happened. Why has this happened? Because you've got the chance that the priest might turn around and go, yeah, that shouldn't have happened at all. Who did it? And then that person is then found out, and that person then gets in trouble, and you get to go, oh, okay, so why did it happen, and what should have happened? And then it's growth, and it's role play for everyone involved. And God knows I try to encourage role play on this stream. Definitely try to encourage that constantly. So I think that's an interesting thing, because I've certainly got a lot that I need to. I'm the first to admit my own failings when it comes to role play. Definitely with knowledge of this game, because I don't have a huge amount of knowledge, but I am learning every single stream thanks to people like yourselves who are able to come on and explain it to a child like myself. So it's really, really nice. It's really, really nice to hear it all, to be honest. So I need to go and, like Louis in the last stream, I need to go and have a chat with the Apothecaries Guild, because there's things there, and like with the hospital, there's a lot there as well. So with all the priests, there's a lot there. So I think, as we found with the virtues, there is so much there, and we have barely really touched the virtues. We spend a lot of time talking about the Brass Coast. So I think there's a lot here. There's a lot to go on with. And I would say to anyone watching, be it on Twitch live here and now, or if they're watching it on YouTube when I upload it tonight or tomorrow morning, go and ask questions. Always ask questions. My favourite saying: there are no stupid questions, just stupid people. So as we're finding out in the world at the moment, but it's always go and ask questions, especially if you're new. Just go and ask questions. There's no harm in it. At the very least, you'll get a bit of role play.
By and large, the people in the coast who play priests and the Hakima and the Kohan, these guidance roles, as it were, are always keen to have someone to go, yes, let me teach you a thing. Please come here, my child. And they're very keen to divulge knowledge normally. So, yeah.
I mean, we're the public relations arm of the Brass Coast, so come at it.
Can we refer
you need
to the
military,
public?
go to the Kohan. You need priestiness, go to the priests. You need magical guidance, go to a Hakima. There are your roots.
So the public arm of the Brass Coast, can we refer to them as the Brass Coasters?
No.
Sorry. Oh, I'm getting shivved. Yeah. So I think hour 35. I think we've done well there. I think we'll probably have to do this again to focus on the virtues a little bit more. But this has been good. This has definitely been eye-opening.
I think it was inevitable that we were going to have to talk about the broken wheel so much because it's a question of. Like the whole thing is like, oh, we're turning virtue on our heads. What do you mean you're turning virtue on your head? And it's a very complicated answer, but there are a lot of there's a lot to be said for being like, okay, let's investigate this virtue. What is the freeborn view of this, and how do you exercise it? We could do a whole other stream just on that premise.
Yes. Yeah, we could.
It's very different from how the other nations do their festivals and things as well. You tend to be in your area, and they'll parade around the whole of Anvil, and you get to see what they're doing, and it's all lovely, and off they go, and you can go and join in if you want to, but they just parade around and show you what they're doing. Whereas Broken Wheel, we scatter.
Yeah, and also
they scatter.
It's for us. It's not for. I mean, there's an arm of it's for other people to teach people lessons about staying alert and things like that. But at the same time, it's more about showing ourselves those things. So it is much more for us than it is for other people.
In contrast, like the march,
it's not a performance for the people like everyone else.
Well, it kind of is. I've often referred to it as a performance art, I do think it's a performance art for other people, but I think it's primarily a performance art for the Brass Coast. Because like I said, it has those cultural meanings in that the things that we flip are our traditions, like the lying, and how it doesn't have the same context if you're I'm an Amar joining in with Brass Coast, I'm lying, this means nothing.
Yeah.
Context.
Excellent. Yes, context is a big thing. So, I'll call it there, I think. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on and educate everyone and talk about all of this. It's been fantastic. I'm sure you will all be back on the stream again at some point because you know stuff, basically. So it's absolutely fantastic. I'm
actually quickly going to drop into into Twitch and post a judgment that I posted a while ago, just explaining the broken wheel.
Quoting your sources.
There's one that I tracked down. Oh, there's adverts here. What's going on?
Yes.
Bring a Freeborn to an argument and expect reference.
Yeah, there will be adverts on Twitch. If you send me the link as well on Discord, then I can put it into the description on YouTube so people can see that as well.
I will actually because it's on a page of these are all the judgments that happened. It's not necessarily useful, but here is the wording, and here is the link for you. Because I thought that was quite succinct at the time, and I think a lot of people ignored it because other political things were happening at the time.
Okay, has that gone into Discord, has it?
Yeah, I just sent it on the general page.
Okay, that's fine. So what we'll do is I'll put that onto... how long is it?
I mean, not overly long.
Not overly long? If my mod can go into the general thing on Discord and post it into chat. Because if I go into Discord now, because I've only got the one screen.
That's but you'll just confuse yourself.
So everyone on my screen will disappear, and all you'll see is the wording spread out over my little four things here. So, but what I can, don't worry. I'll put it on. What I'll do is I'll put it all onto the YouTube thing, and I'll try to put it all on. I'll put it all into the description there, so it's all in one place. Because obviously on Twitch it will just disappear after a while anyway. So I can get that. I'll get that sorted out, so it'll all sit in the description. So watching this on YouTube, look in the description, and it will have the judgment there. So we'll get that sorted. So what we've got coming up, Friday stream is just me at the moment. Monday's stream is with someone called Ree, who is a friend of a friend. So that's just the Larp chat. Next Wednesday, I haven't decided yet. Next Friday will probably be a battle-filled chat again, and then the Monday after that, we've got the man himself, Matt Pennington, is coming on to do a Larp chat. So we get to grill him and ask all the questions and find out all about the man himself, rather than just the man, the myth, the legend at the top of Empire and PD. So it'll be very interesting there. So come along for that. Yeah. So that's me done my plug-in and stuff like that as well. So thanks everyone for coming along to talk. Thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, I really appreciate it all, and we'll see you all on. Well, I'll see you all on Friday. So everyone, take care and look after yourselves. Bye.